Advocate Dali Mpofu's conduct received some backlash. Former President Jacob Zuma hit back at the Constitutional Court hours after the State Captutre Commission asked the court rather, to have him jailed for being in contempt. And finally, the Commission also confirmed that President Cyril Ramaphosa will be appearing next month. Let's look back at the week gone by as we also look ahead. Bring in Advocate Romeo Nthembeleni, who joins us now via our video link. Advocate, it's great to have you on. And I guess in many respects, it was yet another week in South Africa's news cycle, wasn't it? One where our jaws were in some respects on the floor. But let's take it bit by bit if we can. Advocate Dali Mpofu's moment was contentious, and I only say this because, depending who you are, was viewed very differently. What did you read into that moment as he was cross-examining Minister Pravin Gordhan, and that exchange obviously took place between the legal counsel and Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo?
Look, Ayanda, good morning to you and your viewers. Thank you very much. This exchange reminded me of my course, Law and Politics, that in order to be good at one, you have to take one side of the chair and sit on it, because there's just too much interaction between law and politics that when you are engaging in both, the lines become very, very blurred, and it creates a challenge. This is what you've just witnessed now, where you are unable to draw a line between a political realm and a legal sphere. And that's what you saw unfolding in that exchange of the cross-examination of Pravin Gordhan by our learned colleague Dali Mpofu. And it became an emotional atmosphere where it was like it's a political fray. And that's why you saw that kind of an exchange going on. And you saw that to show that it was a conduct that was not acceptable. The chairperson of the inquiry himself, Raymond Zondo, Judge Zondo, indicated, following that kind of an exchange, that it's not supposed to happen.
Yeah. For his defense, he actually said it had very little to do with politics, but it had to do with race and the many issues that plague the profession still, insofar as that is concerned. I mean, is that something that you think has any grounds? I mean, the optics certainly allow for that type of interpretation, but I mean, was that warranted from what you were able to read and from the perspective of someone in the profession?
No, look, you cannot deny, the injustices of the past, that they still persist, to date. And beside that being on the table, we are trained to be calm, and we are trained to apply the law with respect, without fear and prejudice. I'll refer you to the Legal Practice Council Code of Conduct that has been recently passed in recent times. Part 6 of that code indicates the conduct of legal practitioners when they are appearing before courts and tribunals and quasi-judicial and administrative functions spaces like the commissions. That article speaks. Article 61 speaks about professional etiquette. It says that as professionals, we have to extend professional etiquette to the judicial officers sitting, and to our colleagues as well, despite the apathy that we might have against each other, because we cannot deny that. And at all material times, in terms of law and ethics, we are requested to act with proper etiquette amongst our colleagues, and we can't excuse that for anybody. For that matter.
Yeah, important to think about, because of course racial issues, rightly so, have many people riled up and sitting up straight because of the history you've just pointed out. But interesting to get your perspective. Of course, the State Captutre Commission of Inquiry was also important for many other reasons this week, including developments that were taking place at the Constitutional Court. I wonder, from a strategic point of view, what you read into the former president's stance, strategy, not to even defend himself at the Constitutional Court. We only got one side of the story, so to speak. What should we make of that? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, and as we have seen that since the former president has indicated that he doesn't want to be party to the commission, he cannot pick and choose and want to be party to the proceedings that are before the court. So it is clear to me that that is the nature of the game they want to play, to indicate that they are not going to appear before the State Captutre Commission. Either they are not going to actually engage in any court proceedings, because you would have seen with the kind of a staunch letter that was written by him, talking about the conduct of the judges and the judiciary being captured and whatnot. So if you appear before that kind of a forum, you are saying that I'm giving legitimacy to whatever order that the court is going to give. So I think that is a strategy that has been adopted, that is being used. And you cannot pick and choose and say you want to go to court, but you don't want to go to the State Captutre Commission. So I think that is the position. So once the lines have been drawn, there's no way that you're going to move to the other side.
Yeah, so it's a logical, if I'm understanding you correctly, it's a logical progression from the stance they have taken. The question then becomes, is it a sustainable position to take, given...
So very well,
Yeah,
very well. And I think you put it very much properly, because is it a sustainable position going forward? Because by either your appearance or non-appearance, it doesn't make nothing much tense on it, because the decisions will still be taken in your absence, because the court will say, we have afforded you the opportunity with your legal representative to come and appear, but you chose not to appear. So you have to fall on your own sword, so to say.
I must say, Advocate, what I found incredibly interesting was the commentary that emerged on that day in the week. Many people, I guess surprisingly, saying that they don't see the Constitutional Court delivering the kind of judgment that will see the former president in jail, even though if it was anybody else, that probably would be the outcome. What does that tell you about the Constitutional Court's awareness of what's taking place on the political sphere? As a judicial body, one hopes that it would be insulated from the political machinations of the day. But a lot of people who, are in the know about these things are suggesting that in this particular case, they probably won't be.
Let's not count our chickens before they hatch. I think let's allow the Constitutional Court to to make a decision. I think that it was in their wisdom to reserve the judgment. They know that this is an important case, and they must give a well thought judgment and a carefully worded judgment. And I believe that they are taking their time in making the correct decision. But what is important here that you and me should not forget, Ayanda, is that once the Constitutional Court fails to make a decision that will sustain the democracy and the respect of the institution of the Constitution in South Africa, it means that you don't have you don't have authority as a legal court, which is the highest court in the country, to give judgments that are enforceable. Because what has been indicated is that the former president is in contempt of court, and for that contempt, there need to be a punishment. So if the example doesn't come from there, it's a state of anarchy.
It's interesting because, for many people, this is a very clear progression. He was in contempt, and what follows should be some kind of jail time. But the Constitutional Court is taking a whole lot more time to consider this, and that, to many people in and of itself, is quite telling. But very well, as we look at the weeks ahead, the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, also said to take the stand. An individual who's also in the belly of these political machinations I speak about. How should the Deputy Chief Justice treat Cyril Ramaphosa as he appears before the Commission, especially because there are perceptions already that he himself, the DCJ, has a leaning towards the President, is in favor of the President?
Let's just conclude on the previous issue of the former president that we were speaking about. To say why the Constitutional Court will obviously take more time is what you said precisely earlier, that there's no appearance on the other side. It makes things difficult to make a decision when there's non-appearance on the other side, to hear the other side of the story, to what is actually happening. So what you see is that the political fray is playing out in court in the way which we have summarized those nuances. And look, Now, when we speak about our former president, our current president appearing before the State Captutre Commission, is because of the evidence that was implicating him that there was some form of interference, that he also played a part when the state capture was being conducted previously. So that the president must answer for himself, and he has to set the record straight relating to his participation, because he was part of the government as the former president of the country. He cannot say that when this that kind of episode was unfolding, there was nothing that he was seeing. You see no evil, hear no evil, touch no evil. So at the end of the day, those witnesses that are implicating him, he has to come and answer and set the record straight as the president of the country. And it gives an impetus to the proceedings, that when you see a current president, as the situation of former President Nelson Mandela appearing in court, it shows confidence that we are trying to get deep, to dig deeper and give a resolution to these problems that continues to bedevil us. And in terms of the relationship of the current president with the chairperson of the commission, there is none, if you want to find it, because we have to confirm that there is independence of the courts. And although courts are appointed by the president, the judges are appointed by the president, those are recommendations that comes from the Judicial Service Commission when it has been found that the candidate is fit and proper person to be appointed as judge. And then that does not necessarily create a relationship between the current Deputy Chief Justice and the former president. Actually, the alleged relationship that existed was between former President Jacob Zuma and Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. You know the ruling on what he has said. He said, no, I'm not your friend. We were never friends. Even if you allege that there's a relationship, there is none. So that is the position.
Absolutely. Advocate Romeo Nthembeleni, always great getting your perspective on these issues. Thanks very much for your time.